You're about to start the workout, the inbox, the studying. Your hand is on the door handle, and then your brain pulls the identity card. If I try to change this behavior before I feel like a different kind of person, it won't stick, and I'll just prove I'm not really that type of person. So you don't start. You call it being realistic. That's not realism. That's self-protection dressed up as standards. Here's the contradiction. The move you're using to protect your identity is the same move that keeps your identity from ever updating. This will get clear fast, why that thought feels true, and one practical way to handle the next "I'll just prove it" moment without turning it into a character test. The pattern looks responsible from the inside. I'll go to the gym when I feel disciplined. So you skip today because you don't feel it. The relief is immediate, but the relief has a cost. You don't get new evidence. So disciplined stays a word you admire from a distance. Same with hard work. You sit down to a difficult task and you don't feel focused. So you clean, you plan, you reorganize. It feels like preparation, but you're waiting for a feeling to grant permission. And then this one, you start a habit, you miss a day, and your brain treats the miss like a verdict. See, real people don't miss. So you drop it, because continuing risks collecting more proof you're not the type. That's not a productivity issue. It's an identity issue. In plain language, you're treating a feeling and a self-label as the entry ticket. If you don't feel ready, confident, disciplined, focused, then the action doesn't count. So the habit stops being practice. It becomes an exam. And exams make people defensive. Here's the confusion under it. You're mixing "I did the behavior" with "I am that kind of person." So any inconsistency feels like disqualification, not data. That's why small friction hits so hard. A bad night of sleep, a stressful day, a little boredom. Suddenly, you're negotiating with yourself. You look for certainty. You look for a guarantee this time will be permanent. And when you can't guarantee permanence, you retreat. Not because you don't care, because caring raises the stakes. There's a specific mental cost to this. It's like keeping an open tab that never closes. The debate runs in the background and drains your battery. You're not just skipping the gym. You're spending mental energy proving you're allowed to go. And it keeps sounding reasonable. I don't want to start and fail. I don't want to fake it. I want it to be real. But real, in this loop, often means risk-free. Identity gating turns ordinary inconsistency into a referendum. If it isn't smooth, you treat that as evidence you're not built for it. Then you back out before the world can confirm it. This isn't you failing at habits. This is you running an identity protection strategy that demands certainty before action. Here's how tight the trap is. You miss one day. Your brain says, "See, not that person." And quitting feels cleaner than continuing with a dent in the image. So the behavior never gets a chance to become normal. Identity isn't the fuel. It's the scoreboard. You don't wait for the scoreboard to change before you play. The shift is smaller than it sounds. It's lowering the identity stakes and collecting small, trackable evidence even when you don't feel like the person yet. When this runs your life, everything becomes a restart. Monday, next month, after you buy the right gear, after you get serious. You plan more than you do because planning doesn't threaten your self-image. You get obsessed with streaks because a streak feels like identity. Then one slip turns into a collapse because the streak breaking feels like the mask coming off. Over time, the doubt changes shape. Not, "Can I do this once?" but "Can I trust myself at all?" And that becomes the new reason you need to feel different first. A few failure points show up again and again. You wait to feel ready. You make the change so big, it becomes a character test. You treat one miss like proof. You try to fix your self-image before you've collected any behavioral evidence. That's why the become the type of person approach backfires. It demands emotional certainty and something close to perfection. And you're a human, so it keeps generating evidence against you. What replaces it is simpler, a low-stakes way to produce evidence without needing to believe the new identity yet. Think of the goal as smaller than be disciplined today. The goal is to create 1 unit of evidence today. 1 unit you can point to, even if your mood disagrees. Here's the tool. It's an evidence rep. It turns the next identity doubt moment into a tiny action and a visible record. 1. When you hesitate, take a short decision window and say, I don't need to feel like that person. I just need 1 proof rep right now. Then do 1 tiny rep that takes under 2 minutes. 2. Record it in one place immediately. A note, a checklist, a calendar mark. Anywhere consistent, so the evidence lasts longer than the mood. That's how you change behavior without needing to feel like a different kind of person first. You remove the identity test, lower the stakes, and build self-trust from accumulated proof instead of fragile feelings. Identity gating makes every attempt high stakes, so slips feel like proof you should stop. That's why waiting to feel different keeps the habit fragile. A proof rep plus a record builds evidence without needing the identity up front. This week, where do you usually demand feeling like that person before you act? In that moment, use the pause line once.